tonight to talk about precision medicine. Very hot topic, as probably most of the audience knows. And one of the things I wanted to clear up, and there is a definition, some of this in your pamphlet that you have, but back in the around 2000, when personalized medicine started gaining some speed, and the Critical Path Initiative came out by the FDA, that was in 2004, everyone was terming this personalized medicine. But as it started to evolve, the clinicians actually started to say, wait a minute, we have always practiced personalized medicine. What are you talking about? So the field has now evolved to precision medicine, and I actually, having done this a while, and I'm sure the panelists, concur that over time, precision medicine fits better, because indeed, clinicians have been practicing personalized medicine for hundreds, thousands of years perhaps. So it fits. So I think we will discuss this in terms of precision medicine first. Also wanted to clear up a couple things. It is true that this has taken a long time to come. In fact, I was laughing because in 1999 I made a move from diagnostics to pharma, and I said, personalized medicine, which we were talking about, personalized medicine, precision medicine was just around the corner. And here we stood in 2014, and we're just starting to scratch the surface. It's amazing how long this has taken. But in the words of Mahija, the other day on the phone, she said, the science has just never been better. The tools are coming now. They're coming faster, and it's not just the tools. It's sort of this convergence of many different pieces and parts. I think of it as a big puzzle. You needed the FDA to come on board. You needed the pharma companies to come on board. You need the diagnostic companies to come on board. There had to be regulations. There also has to be, how are you going to pay for this in the business model? We're going to talk about these from different perspectives today. But I wanted to just share that I think it's been evolving, which has been tremendously exciting. Over time, I was reading the McKinsey report, and it is a McKinsey report, so I'll leave it at that. But basically, they said that 85, and Pia corrected me earlier, there have been 85 complementary / CDX products come out to the market over time. 18 of those are really what we term true companion diagnostics. And I think that's important to clear that up. That definition, the different definitions are also in your packet. You can look at that or later if you want to, just to make that clear. But I thought the more interesting piece of information in that report is that they interviewed 20 top pharmaceutical companies, and of those, 12 of them gave them information. They said that they, over time, have now currently 150 companion diagnostic products in phase 3 with their therapeutics, and double that in phase 2. So we are ready. We're sort of at this amazing juncture now where we're going to see just a flood of these coming out of the market, and I have to say that the infrastructure and all the pieces and parts that need to be working in concert are clearly not working in concert, and we'll talk about that today. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us. If you do the math, that's a lot, 450 products, and I don't think we're ready for quite that kind of onslaught, so I'll take it from there. So at first we're going to talk about the diagnostic key benefits and stakeholders, and Pia and Fumi are going to talk about that. Other panelists will join in, but they're predominantly going to lead the discussion on that topic.
So we will key stakeholders, I don't think, really thank you. Oh, sorry. Thanks to everyone for having me, and I just want to mention my sort of plug. If you are a young person and are looking to be mentored, this is the place to do it. You have not just world-renowned women, you have access to some wonderful people both here in Chicago from an industry perspective. Reach out and find somebody, get a dialogue going. So with that, in terms of key stakeholders, I think we would agree it's the patient, right? And we all move back from the patient. I think we look at it differently, right? And from an industry side, and then obviously from what you see day in and day out. I think it would be very interesting to navigate backwards, and since it's breast, we think about looking at HER2 and moving backwards around the key stakeholders. And as you pull that funnel back from, oh, you're positive for HER2, what does that look like to a patient, all the way to, the guy developing the drug and the test. Oh, human epidermal growth factor receptor 2.
You know, I am a physician and I'm also a scientist, and I agree with Christine, it's never been better. I came a little later today because I was consulting on a patient who was just so happy to come to see me and had waited for 3 weeks to get an appointment and said, I will not start my treatment until I talk to you. Because as you all have come to understand, personalizing therapy is all about talking to the patient, figuring out what they need to do. But we moved beyond that because even after looking at her records, looking at everything we had, there were still a few tests that she hadn't done at her community hospital. And I couldn't tell her how she would be treated if I really wanted to do precision medicine until I had that new genomic test that was going to tell me whether her estrogen receptor positive breast cancer would benefit from the addition of another target. And that's sort of where we are now. And she was really, that's how I have to think about it. How come my oncologist didn't tell me that, right? And my goal is that they shouldn't have to come to me to hear that. So that, I think, is what you guys need to figure out. How do we get that information to wherever the woman is? Because she said, I work, I'm a professional woman, and I would like to stay in my community to be treated. So how can you be my oncologist and help my oncologist do precision medicine? That, I think, is where the challenge is for all of us.
So if I can add, you know, I think that's why it is really important for what you said, that the stakeholder, the first stakeholder is definitely the patients. And I think that's what motivates us. That's why we come to work every day. Because we should not forget that the other stakeholders are the physicians, the regulators, the payers. You know, all that comes into play, and that's really important. So when you started saying you need to inform these people, you need to tell everybody, there are so many regulations in right now and compliance of what we can do, what we cannot do, right? So that comes into play. So there are a lot of things that you know, and then there's the misinformation that happens in the internet. So I don't know how you deal with that as well.
Absolutely.
When you see your patients.
Absolutely. So she said, you know, my oncologist told me I could, you know, if I do things right, I could live for 10 years with advanced breast cancer. Then I went on the internet and somebody said it's only 3 years. And so I'm up and down and, you know, where's the right information? She was pushing me for a prognosis. And I said, it's going to depend on whether you respond to the treatment that meets your biomarker. And that's really what I say, that I don't want to get it wrong, right? So precision medicine is really about providing all that information that at least gives me a better chance to give the best drug for the right patient at the right time. So that's how I'm thinking about it. And I think the roadblock really is, how do we get that knowledge to everyone who needs to make a decision, to the patient, to the stakeholders. I think when we started talking about or2, everyone has been looking for the next big target that's going to have the impact that Herceptin had. But unfortunately, we had many misses. And now we're coming back to companion diagnostics, tell me what is it that I'm targeting, and then it costs too much. So third-party payers don't want you to use it, right, until you really show that it makes a difference.
I think also, to be just briefly, the notion that moving a little bit away from the patient and thinking about the development side, and having done pharmaceutical, had 10 years at AstraZeneca, and 10 years on the diagnostic side as well, is really thinking about the different players, meaning stakeholders, where they culturally come from, where they business-wise come from, and understanding the value of the innovative risk that each business model takes. Now that's super high level. If you drop that down a notch and think about the level of, whether you like it or not, the pharmaceutical industry is exceptional at marketing. They are exceptional at education. There's a huge value in this country. You may not like make a patient say, I saw on TV write the script for, but it is a means of education. And what made me so sad, more so in 2009, 2010, where I would see colleagues in the commercial side just being let go in droves. You know, Pfizer lays off 30,000 people, and it's mind-boggling. And so when I looked at that from a companion diagnostic world and the true stakeholders, one of the most inspiring things to me was saying to a pharma partner I was working with, we were developing a companion for colorectal cancer. And they said, I don't understand, Pia. I don't understand why this thing doesn't work. Can't you just go out and sell it? And I'm like, what do you mean? Me, the diagnostic? I'm supposed to go out and sell? What am I selling? For pharma, drug is king. For a diagnostic company, you know, test is king. First in class, best in class on the pharma side. For diagnostic platform, the robot the test runs on, they're different models. We have disagreements. And so, but one agreement we have is the need for education and alignment, both to patients, to physicians, policy organizations, which are critically important. And I feel that the precipice that you speak of is also important.